Hey everyone, I'm Holden, and today we will be talking about Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. I'm going to tell you what I liked, what I didn't like, and maybe what I would have liked to have seen. The initial worry about this film was having to establish not one but two main characters, one of which that we've seen and that we love, that is the Christian Bale Batman, and one that we've never seen before, and that is Wonder Woman. So the movie is taking a crack at its own universe Batman, one of which they had to jump over some obstacles, even casting Ben Affleck in this movie. If you remember, a couple years ago, there was all kinds of outcry about him even being Batman. On top of that, placing him in the Man of Steel universe. Now, they had to do the same thing with Wonder Woman, but they had a little bit more room to make her their own. In a very Zack Snyder sense, the movie starts off with slow motion, watching the death of Bruce Wayne's parents in a very Watchmen-y kind of style. Now, to be really honest with you, I actually kind of liked it. I know that in every sort of reiteration of Batman that exists, we always see this scene. We always see Batman's parents die. This was Zack Snyder doing it, and he really just gets it out of the way right at the very beginning. It's very Zack Snyder in that it's using a lot of slow motion, which he loves to do. We see it in 300, we see it in Watchmen, we see it in Man of Steel, and now we see it in Dawn of Justice. And they also solidify pretty quickly that Batman has been Batman for about 20 years or so in this world. Wonder Woman was interesting in that she's sort of scattered throughout the movie. You see her as they don't really say her name, but you see her as just sort of Diana just doing her thing. It sort of worked, but we're still figuring out why she's there. We have no idea who she is in this cinematic universe. Why she cares at all about fighting with Batman, Superman, why she cares about the human race. We don't really know. They didn't really talk about it. Now, with that said, her appearance as Wonder Woman was pretty cool. I liked it. We see her first appearance as Wonder Woman. You see her using the bracelets of submission. Wink, wink. Now, that was cool, but there was also sort of like, what is your emotional involvement in what's going on? Now, the Wonder Woman that we know from the comics, she is the princess of the Amazon where there are no men. Originally, when she sort of shows up to the civilized world, our customs are sort of weird to her. Now, she's always cared about justice and doing the right thing, but it's still kind of weird to see her dressed up at these fancy places with Bruce Wayne and sort of kind of going incognito like he does. I'm not necessarily saying that that's a bad thing, but it does sort of present more questions than answers at this point about her. They also mentioned that Wonder Woman is over 100 years old, so I guess she had plenty of time to acclimate into mankind. Speaking of out of character, we see right even from the trailer, Batman utter the lines,
"Do you bleed? You will."
An awesome line, no doubt, but coming out of Batman's mouth was a little bit weird for me. Batman is logical and systematic. Yes, he's aggressive, but he's never aggressive just for aggressiveness' sake. In this, you just see him really just wanting to go toe-to-toe with Superman. Let's fight. Yes, there's a very quick montage of him preparing for this fight, but he's usually pretty level-headed. Now, if you're not buying that being out of Batman's character, it might just be my opinion, but if I have to watch Batman shoot one more person in this movie, I'm going to pull my hair out. Like, literally with firearms. Batman plus shooting firearms just does not do it for me. Even if it is just in his dreams, at first, and then later in real life. Batman actually has a kill count in this movie. And then he's just sort of moseying on, doing his business, doing his Batman thing. Now, that's no problem. This is their version of Batman. This is the Snyderverse. So I'm just going to wash my hands clean of it. But it just did not sit well with me. Now, there's actually a movie called Under the Red Hood. It's animated, but it's a fantastic movie. And it illustrates just how important not killing is to Batman. Now, whether or not you like that particular characteristic of Batman, it's still his characteristic. Now, I'm sure there are many people out there who are happy to see Batman throw this one rule out the window and just sort of do whatever it is he wanted to do, but I am not one of those people. Now, after having to embrace this new Batman, the movie doesn't really start to really pick up steam until about halfway through the second act of this movie. The beginning of this movie, with the exception of the initial Man of Steel sort of recap from Bruce Wayne's perspective, was a little bit slow for me, and I found myself getting a little bit bored up until about halfway through the second act. That's just my opinion. Superman was more or less the exact same Superman that we had in the Man of Steel movie, and what I found particularly interesting about Dawn of Justice was that they are really trying to cram a lot of philosophy down your throat. Superman is like a god. Should he exist? What if he decides to turn on us? Who's going to keep him in check? If God is all-powerful, he cannot be all good, and if God is all good, he cannot be all-powerful. If man won't kill God, the devil will do it. You really feel it. That's just a little bit. They really push that down on, and it does give it some emotional weight. In their recap of Man of Steel, they do a good job at bringing it down to like a mortal level. In Man of Steel, we're there with Superman the whole time. In this one, it starts off, we're with Bruce Wayne at the beginning. You're watching the events unfold and everything, you just feel so powerless. And then on top of that, they throw in the politics after they're 18 months later. And with those politics, you feel just as hopeless and depressed as you do in the real world. I also like the bonding moment between Batman and Superman after their initial fight. As Batman stands over Superman with that kryptonite spear and about to kill him, because that's what Batman does in this universe. What's the one thing that Superman says that gets Batman to stop in his tracks? He cries out, "Martha." This stops Batman because Batman's mother's name is Martha. They mamas got the same name. This gives them a moment to stop what they're doing and join forces to stop Lex Luthor. Their mamas brought them into this world and they keeping them here. Except for Superman. His mom's name is Lara and he is technically adopted, but that is besides the point. Working our way forward, after Luthor's plan to get Batman and Superman to go against each other, he unleashes his threat into the world, Doomsday. The devil sent to smite God. There was a disconnect to me because I saw him in the trailer, but I did not sort of put two and two together and realize that, oh my gosh, Doomsday is going to be in this movie. Maybe my mind just had a disconnect because he looked like Abomination from the Incredible Hulk movie. I don't know. But because there was that disconnect, I was really surprised and kind of happy that Doomsday was in this movie. I wasn't expecting it. I was ready to see Doomsday and Superman go at it. I have read the comics, I have seen the animated specials in the Justice League, in the actual standalone animated film, and if you know Doomsday, and you know Doomsday versus Superman, you know the outcome. Now during this fight is where you finally see Wonder Woman risk her life for whatever casual reason, and join Batman and Superman. It was pretty nice to see Wonder Woman kicking some butt like she always does, and I was really happy to see that lasso of truth. Yes, it is in there. Now as far as the conclusion to Doomsday, and if you know the story, you know that this is just a prelude to the death of Superman. And I personally felt very okay with some of the changes that they made. They clearly do it with Batman in this movie, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but they also do it with the death of Superman and his fight with Doomsday, and how they cancel each other out. Superman grabs that kryptonite spear that Batman was going to use to kill him, and he flies towards Doomsday, barely able to stay up because that kryptonite is weakening him, and he stabs him right through the chest, plunging it into Doomsday's heart. Now, throughout this fight, they actually get hit with a nuclear warhead, which was very easy for them to apparently initiate, because it only takes like 5 minutes in the movie for them to say, hey, let's nuke them. They eventually realize that all the damage, especially from the frickin' nuke, is what's giving Doomsday even more and more power. And you start to see that bony look that you see from the comics, you know? Now, previously, Wonder Woman cuts off Doomsday's hand, and that bony stuff sort of starts to grow, and her sword, because she's using a sword in the movie, which is cool, it is like engulfed around, so you have like the spear and then the bones sort of all around it. Doomsday takes that bony spear hand and shoves it through Superman's chest, effectively killing the Man of Steel. I liked it. And this might set me apart from the rest of the world, depending on, I haven't read any reviews or seen what any other people's takes are on it, but for me, it worked. And I think that this is also, not in this movie because that killed Superman, but I think it also solidifies Batman's perception of Superman. Batman previously called the Man of Steel a coward. Obviously, he never puts his life in danger, and this has always been a problem with Superman. Is it really heroic to run into a burning building or jump in front of bullets or in front of a fast-moving train if you know you're never going to get hurt? Batman doesn't know if he's going to come home at the end of the day. Superman more or less does. Again, there's a little bit more philosophy for you. Superman's sacrifice in this solidifies him as a truly courageous hero, which Superman is. Even though we know, if you know the comics and you know just the story of Doomsday, you know that Superman is going to be okay. They even tease that at the end of this movie where Lois Lane throws, out of respect, throws some dirt on his coffin. She walks away, and then they show a nice shot of the coffin, and you see just right at the very end, very Inception-y, you know how Cobb's totem sort of wobbled at the end? They kind of do that with this. They have the dirt, and you just, at the very, very end, you see some pieces of it begin to rise, then it cuts to black. Superman is not dead, and in true comic book form, nobody stays dead forever. I enjoyed the obvious Easter eggs in some of the heroes that we'll be seeing in the near future. We see Flash, Cyborg, and Aquaman, all really cool, just very quick. And though we don't see anything about him in this movie, I would really like to see the Green Lantern. We know that DC is going to put in the Green Lantern in the Justice League. It may not be in the most recent Justice League movie coming. I don't know if they're going to want to do their own standalone film first, but we know he will eventually be in there. Jon Stewart is an excellent Green Lantern, and I really hope they utilize him and put him in this universe. It'll also help making the Justice League even more multicultural than it's already becoming. And also good job on not making Wonder Woman a white lady. I see you're really trying to stop the whole whitewashing in Hollywood thing. Isn't that right, former Batman actor Christian Bale playing Moses in Egypt? Yes! I thought so. And considering the challenges that this movie in particular faced, from day one when they announced that Ben Affleck would be Batman, to the first trailer, to finally seeing the end product, this ranks up there with about the same level as Man of Steel to me, maybe having a little bit more meat to it than Man of Steel did, but unfortunately it's just not on par with the Marvel movies. They're really missing that special ingredient that makes the Marvel movies so special. But being what this is, I give this movie a 3.5 out of 5 Supermans. As an avid lover of Batman, Superman as well, and even the whole Justice League, I did enjoy this movie. It's always great to see Superman kicking butt. It's always great to see Batman on the big screen. And a little micro spoiler here, there's a great trailer for the Lego Batman movie that looks pretty funny. But this is not the Marvel Universe. They've been doing really, really well on TV, outperforming even Marvel's TV shows, that is until we had Marvel's Daredevil. I say you want to watch this movie, but keep your expectations relatively low. I know that's terrible to say, but just do it. DC in the near future is not one day going to have a movie that rattles us and hypes us like the Avengers, like Captain America, like Iron Man, like Thor. Watch it, enjoy it, and then let's move on. We do have the Suicide Squad coming, and we might be surprised there. Harley Quinn, Holden can do. So tell me what you liked, what you didn't like. Was this the best superhero movie of all time? Am I just totally out of line? Is it refreshing to you to see Batman not take killing so seriously and just have him just do what he needs to do? Give me your opinion if you stuck around to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed this review. I hope you enjoyed Dawn of Justice, and we'll see you next time.